you can kind of watch the same thing. You can watch the fire develop, you can watch the smoke layer kind of push down, you'll see roll over, it'll flash over eventually, and eventually be hot enough that we can backdraft it. So there's a temperature probe about this high on the back wall, about like right there. And right now it's about 240 degrees. So as that fire develops, but again, you know, it's got a little bit of momentum now. It's got some heat production. You know, it's pushing smoke out of it a little bit. It might be hard for you to see, but we got some bidirectional flow. It'll always be bidirectional flow because there's no other openings in this. But what we'll see is, as the fire gets more intense, you'll see the neutral plane will actually drop. So it'll start out kind of high, like right now, it's right about here. And as it gets more intense, eventually it'll drop down to almost right down to the bottom. And that's based on energy and what's going on, which is why I say the other thing is not really a hard and fast rule. Okay. I'm just pre-treating. Again, we got a kind of a small fire set, right? It doesn't take a ton of energy, but you're going to see that little fire, that little set of fire in there is going to flash this box, all right? Because heat's cumulative, so it's just going to continue to build and build and make more and more heat, and eventually it's going to flash the box. It's going to burn the walls, the ceiling. A lot of times we fail this because it doesn't start backdrafting until almost failure. Let's see where we're at here. 560 we're up to. So on the thermal imaging cameras in the past, like I said, we've needed it around 1500 degrees before it'll start actually backdrafting for us. Which again points to why it's such a rare event, okay? Because you need super high heat. I mean, 1500 degrees is not an easy thing. So you need a lot of heat in there. And then it's got to be shut off from oxygen. So you got to have enough oxygen to get it to 1500 and then shut off from oxygen. And then you need that rapid reintroduction of oxygen. All right, so we're coming out now, right? I don't know, it was a couple minutes, right? 2 or 3 minutes. We got fire showing. And again, keep in mind, this is just Class A materials, right? This is just basically pine.
4-ply.
Oh, nice. Good times. Okay, we're about 1,064. So, but did you see how it kind of ramped up, right? It's kind of slow going, gained momentum, and it just took off, right? So we're almost to flash over. You can see the oxygen being pulled back in the bottom half of the neutral plane. We fire caulk these. We build up the corners and seams because if you're going to try this, it really needs to be tight. So that's one of the things we found. If you build it kind of haphazardly without tight seams, oxygen gets in and you never get to deprive it. Okay, we're almost there. It's almost flashed. We're at 1359. Just for your information, it's 42 degrees out here. So again, this is a 1 foot by 1 foot box. Okay, a little bit of pine in there, and right now we're cooking along at 1400 degrees. Okay, fire scalable. All right, it's flashed over. The floor is burning, the walls are burning, and it's producing a lot of gas. And the reason you can tell it's producing a lot of gas is when we do this. See that pushing out of there? See that gas just pushing out of there under all kinds of pressure? Okay. That was not a backdraft. You got this pressure? Yes. I got it. Yeah, just pull off that top ledge. So what actually happened there was there was a little fire burning on the top of this box up here, and when I pulled it off, the gases came out and got lit off by that fire and burned back down in. Okay. See those gases pushing out of there? Eventually, we might get it hot enough where it'll actually start vibrating the handle because there's so much gas production going on. Yeah, we're not quite hot enough. It's only 1,000 degrees right now, but I can do this. So again, we need that super high heat. So we're gonna let it get nice and hot. And the problem what you'll see is we have to constantly spray this area up here so that there's no embers burning on the outside of it and so that it doesn't burn back down to get a true backdraft. So the telltale sign of the backdraft, though, when we get it, is it'll sound like a dog. It'll go woof. Okay, you'll see it blow back out, and watch, when it happens, it'll come from the back of the box. All right, if the fire starts up here on the outside and goes back in, that's not a backdraft. If we get once we actually get the backdraft, you'll see it come from the back. Oxygen will make its way in along the floor, and then it'll go woof. Okay, and it'll push out. 1161. We're not quite hot enough yet.
Back corner again.
You might have to switch to the extinguisher.
Pull the 2.5.
That's what I call for the 2.5. Smart.
Because it's gonna exceed our ability. Yeah, we're almost there. We're like 1200. This is why when I go home I feel like I have sunburn. Radiant heat. Let's not get enough hot. Get that off. See if she does it. Not ready yet. Yeah, that was like a super slow motion one, okay? That basically was a backdraft though, right? Did it come from the back of the box? Yeah. It was really slow. So the irony of this is, we found after, I don't know, I think I said like, we've done this like 15 times now, is the box has to almost be a failure to do it. And once we start doing it, we can do it like 6-8 times and then the box starts to fail. It takes that much energy. Yeah, we're 1231. So, but also look how much faster it's coming back, right? So that thermal ballast thing, right? It's all superheated in there. The environment in that box is all ready to go. Even though we're putting the fire out, it's still incredibly hot. Okay, that's a backdraft. Okay. Again, did it come from the back? Yeah. I can't see it from right.
Yeah.
The hotter it gets, the more aggressive that will be. What are you guys getting on the cameras? Anything? Like up high in the room?
Yeah, way. 13,
13?
14.
Well, our probe's like halfway, so we might not get fully to.
Cold.
You're not going to get in my way. It's going to go that way. Just so you know.
So this is the prop I burned my eyebrows off with because it wasn't backdrafting and I blew into it like an idiot. And it backdrafted into my face. Yeah. As soon as I did it, I'm like, well, that was stupid. Oh, hang on. There we go. Okay. Hear that?
Was that like chocolate colored smoke a telltale sign typically in the backdraft?
Well, so for this it is, right? That's pretty much as murky as this smoke gets because of the Class A nature of it. If this were synthetics, it'd be black. It would probably be easier to backdraft because the heat release rate would be higher. And we've toyed with the idea. People often say to us, so I'm getting 1430 now midway up the box. People often say to us, you know, why don't you throw in some foams or stuff like that? And we could, but honestly, I breathe a lot of this stuff, and I don't want to die. See how much that's pushing out of there, though?
Yeah.
It's that high pressure environment. That smoke will definitely burn. Yep.
It's better.
Yeah, we're getting up to 1450 midway, which means we're probably close to 1600 at the ceiling. Let it warm up again. When we're done, I mean, you know, guys can feel free with the charring that goes on, especially in the big prop, the big 4-room house. It's very interesting to see from a fire investigation standpoint where the heat was and how the charring worked. Oh, see that? That's that gas, right? And it's hard to put out. That's how much the gas production is it does not want to be put out. Yeah, there we go. So that one said 1480 when I put the door on, right? The hotter it gets, the more dynamic it is. There we go. Come back up again. 1425. So we're already back up to 1500. So you can see that's a backdraft, okay? So super high heat, low oxygen, and then rapid reintroduction of oxygen, okay? And like I said, keep in mind, you know, it doesn't have to be the front door, okay? You could have a backdraft, just like in the movie, as cheesy as it is in every other regard. You could have a fire within a space that could backdraft into an interior space, right? So watch out for your trichloride there. And
Yeah, we've never seen it.
what's that?
We've never seen it.
Never seen it. Nobody's ever seen it. All right. I can knock this thing, sir. It's harder than it looks.
It's mad.
We're starting to feel the edges around the door. Now this smoke will burn. Right? That's what we're seeing. That smoke will burn. See how that burned down? It followed the fuel down into the box. But see, we're starting to fail around the edges of the door. I'm going to lose my ability to choke it. Additionally, here's like that one. We're using Class A extinguishers, or Class A foam extinguishers too. So. I cannot get the thing to. So you get the point, right? It's fun to watch a couple times. Everybody film it that wanted to film it?
Yep.
All right. I'll admit, you know, a couple of early ones, you can put that out, right? A couple of early ones I did one at Grease Ridge, and somebody filmed it on their iPhone in like slow motion. It was freaking cool. You watch the freaking thing come from right to back. It was really, he sent it to me. It's really cool.
Did you talk about the angle?
Oh yeah. So, okay, if you're going to do transitional attack, remember we got the neutral plane. You want to put the water in the bottom of the neutral plane. You do not want to put it in the vent.
Light it again.
She's mad now. Good damn Class A.
Too much water.
2.5.
It'll get you every time.
We're going to breathe in again real quick. So, if you're going to do transitional attack, you're going to have bidirectional flow, most likely. And if you don't, if you got unidirectional flow, you can't do transitional attack. So you want to float in the bottom half of the window in the air inlet. You want a straight stream, the steepest angle you can get. So you want to be right next to the building going up into that low spot of the window so that you don't close that vent. Because if you close off the top half of that vent, you're going to change the gas pressures in the room, okay? So it's effective, and you can cool it down. You're basically putting up a sprinkler by flowing it against the ceiling in that steep angle. But you can't move it around, and like Achilles' heel to that is that it often, and I would say most of the time, will not put the fire completely out. It'll knock it down. It'll make things way better. Like right now, we're at 568 degrees in there. So just by cooling everything down, we still got a fire going, but just by cooling it down, we took it from 1500 to 560. And if we'd measured, if I'd looked, if I'd paid attention, when he knocked it down originally, we were down probably in the 200s. So if you take a room from 1500 to 200, does that drastically improve victim survivability? Yeah. Right. So just be careful. It's not a be-all, end-all. And here's the other thing: if you're going to do transitional attack, and if you're going to flow a line from the exterior to cool a room before you enter it, and your plan is to shut that line down and move it interior, you're not going to make it. Because you've got 90 seconds. From the time you shut that line down, you got 90 seconds till the fire intensity is back to where it was, or actually probably worse. So one of the things, and again, I'm not writing your SOGs for you, so do whatever the chief tells you to do. But understand that even though it looks good, you cool it down, you flow water in, things are calming down, and it looks way better. If you're trying to move that line interior to the second floor now, you're not going to make it. It's going to be right back. So one of the things we're talking about, we're learning about is, are we going to have the driver or somebody flow an exterior line while we advance the interior line? and then shut down the exterior line right as they make the fire room. You know, maybe is the answer for that for now. But it's just, you just got to understand it. You really cooled that down.
Foam.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yep. Be off again. This thing turns off a lot. 729. Just show them a real quick shot of the angle. So nice and low, bottom half of the window, up against the ceiling. I took it down, it's dropping. It's still dropping, but yeah. Well, probably because the probe is still hot. That is cheating a little bit. Yeah, it's down to 260, 240. All right. So, okay. That's it for that one.